Good evening to all the attendees and good morning to the esteemed panelists from the US, Ms. Becky Hansen and Mr. Akash Bhalerao from the University of Iowa. Thank you attendees for joining us. We know it's in the evening, it's after your school hours and when you're doing your assessment. So we truly appreciate your kind time for joining us for the session today. To all the attendees, as you may have seen in the outreach emails that have gone out to your guidance counselors and to your schools, the first 30 minutes of today is going to be about a very interesting topic, which is going to be being involved on campus, making the most out of the 4 years. And of course, the second 30 minutes of the session is going to be on the institution who is going to be present today, which is the University of Iowa. As always, you may post your questions in the Q&A box, and the two esteemed panelists for the day will be sharing their answers towards the end in the Q&A section, as you've seen from our emails. And of course, please be on the lookout for a few polls that will be running during the session so as to ensure good engagement as well as interaction with the panelists who are presenting today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the stage and the microphone to the two panelists who are out here. We wish you all the best and look forward to your session. Thank you.
Thank you, Kunal. So hi everyone, namaskar. My name is Akash. I am an alumni of the University of Iowa, and I'm originally from Pune, India, and that's where I am currently in lockdown. It's a little sad that I can't see all of you, but I hope we can still connect through this medium. And I'm here joined by my colleague Becky. She is the director of international admissions at the university. And I think I met her when I was in my 11th standard, and she had come on a school visit to my school in Pune, the Bishop School camp. And that's when I met her. I heard about the University of Iowa. This year, I met another one of her colleagues, Tom Paulson, and that's when I had gotten admission. And that's when I went there and had remarkable 4 years at the university. And I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about my experience with you. To begin with, what I currently do, as you can tell, I love trees. I hug trees. I work around social and environmental issues in Pune, and I'm part of the startup team for a youth entrepreneurship program. And I also work with Shoka that helps social entrepreneurs scale impact. I was one of those children who wasn't really good at a lot of things, like I wasn't good at sports, I wasn't good at academics, I wasn't good at a lot of those things. And but I used to connect with nature, and I really started caring about it when I was in school. And I also love theater. And very soon, what I started doing is I started working on community projects like cleanliness drives, forest restorations, and engaging like residential people with it. And that's when actually my journey started of trying to explore what I wanted to study or what I wanted to be. Because, like as I moved towards my 10th board, everyone started asking me about it. And, like the obvious options were engineering, medical, things that I was like, oh, whatever. But I ended up learning about the University of Iowa that gave me an opportunity to study what I really wanted to study. I got to study social entrepreneurship and environmental restoration. And my academic program was fabulous. I'm not going to tell you about that today because the purpose of today is about campus involvement. But I think this is very connected. Everything I did on campus basically helped me apply what I learned. And so, for example, I would take a negotiations class in business school, and I would get to be a part of a student organization and negotiate with campus administrators to, let's say, add a new position to the university and things like that. So I directly went deep into it, but now I want to zoom out, and I also want to understand where you're coming from as you go to college. So I want all of you to open the chat box, share your name, and share what city you're from. Uh, what are you involved with currently in your school? And what is one thing you're really waiting to eat after the lockdown is over? So I'm going to share mine too. Um, It'll be awesome. I would love to get to know a little more about where you're coming from. Come on, Arnav, Aryan, Isha, Krish, Kriti, Nikita, Parag, Yashka, Shubham, Tejas, Vedant. Tell us a little about you, please. If you want, if not, it's okay. We can move on. Okay. Seems like whenever you feel like it, feel free to share. Oh yeah. So Aryan just shared he's from Mumbai. He wants to pursue business management. Anyone else? Brave enough? Okay. Cool. So I will tell you a little bit about being involved on campus. When I went to the University of Iowa, that was the first time I was leaving India. And it was a very big deal for me because it was a very difficult financial decision for my family. We had to take a student loan and like mortgage the house, and you know how it works. It was a very difficult decision, and when I started traveling towards the university, I knew that when I go there, I have to give it my best and have to make use of every opportunity I can and make sure that each and every moment, each and every day is worth not just the money, but the emotional distance, the lot of sacrifices that my parents made, and things like that. And I reached the university with entire energy, and right away in my first week, I decided to get involved on campus. I joined the gardening club. I joined the environmental coalition. I applied to join the event planning organizations on campus and government, and I applied for like anything that came my way. I didn't get into a lot of those things at once, but I did start gardening and I started making some friends. I also got involved with theater and I was stage managing, and in my first week I also got a campus job. And you might be thinking that this is crazy, like how can all of this play out right when you get there? And the answer is that your experience at a foreign university, or forget foreign university, at any university, is going to be what you make it. It's going to be about what you want to create, about what you want to learn. And for me, the University of Iowa was like Hogwarts. As Dumbledore says, help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. So every time I asked for something, I found an answer. So in my first week, I was going around campus and asking all the front desks about where can I get a student job. And I was like, I want to work in a chemistry lab. And, like people kept directing me. And I got there and I had no experience, of course. And the program manager at the lab or the lab manager was like, damn, your energy is super cool. Come on board. And that's how it happened. The university does actually have a lot of formal ways in which you can get involved with things. So actually, a lot of students actually work and do jobs on campus while studying. Whether it is working as a desk operator for 2 years, or whether it's being a resident assistant, whether it is working with the facilities management, whether it is working with the dining halls or cafes, whether it is working in labs, whatever that is. The university does have a career center and internal career fairs as well that can help you get acquainted on campus and like take a job. Uh, and we also have external career fairs, of course. So you can get involved in an on-campus job or an off-campus job. There are resources for that. Then there is obviously a lot of different student organizations that you can get involved with. But to begin with, let's start with where you'll be living. You'll be living at a residence hall at a university, and at the University of Iowa, each residence hall floor has a living learning community, which basically means that all students who live there have some sort of similar interest, whether it is interest in music, sports, sustainability, whatever that is. And your resident assistant is kind of in charge of helping you get acquainted with campus. So they keep organizing a lot of events. They keep giving you a lot of opportunities to lead and connect on campus and things like that. And that is a very quick way to get involved, because you don't have to go that far. You just have to open your residence hall door and go meet people, knock on doors, and also go into open doors. Then another way to get involved, as I said, is student organizations. The university has over 550 student organizations, ranging from like our campus activities board that puts on like 5 events every week, to the University of Iowa Goat Club. There is a club for everyone. So if you're interested in something, it is going to be very unlikely that you're not going to be able to find a club for it. And if you don't find a club for something you're interested in, it's not that difficult to start. So I was a part of a lot of organizations. I think over time I was a part of 20 organizations on campus, ranging from environmental issues to volunteering for admissions to student government to homecoming. But I also actually ended up starting 2 organizations on campus because those services, or there were no organizations that did what I wanted those organizations to do. So I got together a bunch of friends and I helped start Net Impact and the business school, which was to spread awareness about how businesses are trying to be sustainable. And then we also worked on putting together a clothing closet to help students have access to professional clothing. So it was like a dreamland, like you can find a club for anything in the first place, and if you don't, you can start it. And also another beautiful thing about these is that the level of engagement depends on you. So there are organizations like the gardening club, like they're totally cool if you show up and volunteer whenever you can. They don't require you to attend weekly meetings or any of that. Just when you feel like it, you go. Obviously, if you take a leadership position, then they want you to show up more, and you'll be leading it. But then there are also clubs like the student government, which meets every Tuesday, and you have to do a certain amount of office hours, and it is a high involvement student organization. So there is a club based on whatever you're looking for in terms of what the organization does, but also how much time you want to put in. Then we also have our fraternity and sorority life, or Greek life, as they call it. You might have seen it in the movies. It is another really cool professional development opportunity through which you can also build a lot of friends and connections. I can't tell you a lot about it because I wasn't involved in it. Then we also have student research. So my dad's an engineer and my mother is a scientist. And my dad wanted me to do JEE, and I was just like, I'm going to totally screw this. So, like going into college, engineering was definitely not an option for me. But since my mother is a scientist, she was like, you should get involved in research. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. And I went to the university to study environmental science initially. And I wanted to do research. And again, the university has a formal portal you can apply and find the professor of choice. But what I essentially did is I just Googled all the professors in different departments with some keywords like environment or atmosphere or sustainability. And then I read about their work, and then I emailed the professors that were interesting to me. And I sent them a note saying that, hey, I would love to get involved with your research. I don't know much about it, but I'm willing to learn. And in my first semester itself, I got involved with an atmospheric chemistry lab and then also an ecology lab. So I was doing research with 2 labs at the end of my first semester by simply sending an email and then having a 1-hour chat with each of the professors. And the chat wasn't anything technical. It was just like, why do I want to learn this, and I just had to make the case for it. And like initially I did like the little things in the lab and I supported graduate students, but then I also got to run a project of my own. And one of the coolest projects run is to do a dust sampling in Iowa City in like 3 or 4 different locations. And once you collect the dust samples, the university actually has its own research park. So then I had take this big bus and go to this research park that was all sophisticated and all like super smart people were there. And I had to go there to use some machines to get some data. But it really felt cool. After my first year or after my second year, I decided to zoom out a little bit from the sciences and I stopped the research. But I really think doing research is what helped me better understand what I want to do. I realized that, wait, science is super important and I value it and I want to understand it. But how can I also communicate it? How can I make business case for it? How can I connect with people to come up with solutions? How can I engage people to address things like climate change or whatever. And that's why I kind of zoomed out. Research was a great opportunity to get involved, and a lot of my friends, a lot of people at the university actually end up participating in research because our university is a tier 1 research institute, and uh, there's just a lot of different opportunities. Then you also can volunteer. You can volunteer for a lot of different things on campus. You can volunteer to hold the rope on the parade day at homecoming. You can volunteer at the shelter house. You can volunteer when the football games are happening to recycle. You can volunteer like literally like at the career fair, at every there are so many things happening on campus at a day-to-day basis that they require people are who are just wanting to volunteer once, so that it's not that you need to get a 1-year contract of working at an organization. It's not that complicated. It is very easy. And lastly, I'll just say another cool opportunity that a lot of my friends utilized and I wish I would have is studying abroad. um, the university also has a lot of study programs around the world, even in India, that really focus on SNA. It's not like you go to another country and you're just like volunteering, or it's not like you go to another country and you're just sitting in a class. It's a mix. It's what you can learn from your host community and what you can give to them. So it is a very, our study abroad programs are also very empowerment driven. And overall, I just want to say that I would recommend you to go to the University of Iowa if you're willing to really let yourself get out of the comfort zone, let yourself, obviously perform well in your classes and, work with your professors that are also willing to help you, but also like go beyond the basics. I think that's when it will be worth it for you. And that's when it was worth it for me. That's what helped me make the most out of my 4 years at college. That I did what was supposed to be done in the class, and then I went to professor's office hours and I was like, hey, you're doing this project, I want to be involved with it. And I'm telling you, very surprisingly, people hardly said no. They always let me get involved. And that's how I got to do research with the professors. I got to uh, I got to be a teaching assistant for 2 classes. I got to really work on hands-on projects with professors and also with student organizations. And I would say that is what enhanced my experience. And I look forward to any questions you may have. But other than that, I'm going to hand over to Kunal, and then he's going to hand over to Becky.
So much, Akash, for sharing this information. We appreciate your kind time. Can Becky and Akash, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you guys can. So students, the second half of the session is going to be, thank you Akash for sharing your kind inputs. The second half of the session is going to be now by Miss Becky Hansen, and she is going to be sharing with us information about the University of Iowa. But before we go in for that, we're going to have a quick poll to make sure everyone is paying attention. And the poll is now going to be coming up on your screen. And it's a very good question for the day. Have you heard of the University of Iowa? I'm going to give everyone 60 seconds to reply, and then we will continue with Becky's presentation. Thank you. So we are about 25 seconds. I think I'm going to wait for another 10 seconds before we continue. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And I'm going to share the screen results. Am I audible, Becky, Akash? Sorry to again check.
Yes, just fine. All good. 100% heard of Iowa.
Yes.
Awesome.
So nice to hear that the students, I think maybe the University of Iowa must have visited the schools that we have. Mainly, I think we have today IB schools who are presenting and who are part today. So I assume, Becky, you may have visited many of these schools. So I'm
Yes,
going to
we
let
have
you.
visited hundreds of schools over the last 5 and 6 years. So that's
That's
terrific.
wonderful. So I think that's how the students may have met you along the journey. So I'm going to now put it on mute and again hand over the presentation to you. Thank you.
Okay. I'm screen sharing now. Is that okay with everyone seeing that now? So there's a wonderful aerial view of campus. That is the heart of campus that you're looking at right there. The white buildings in the middle, the Pentacrest area, the gold dome, very signature about the University of Iowa. Many students start their search by looking at rankings, and that's fine. We have the rankings. We're in the top 1% worldwide, Times Higher Education. U.S. News and World Report is a way many students find us as they begin their early research, looking for a high-quality institution based on rankings. But we say never make your decision on rankings alone. Look at 4 or 5 matching characteristics that you're looking for your personal journey. And then go with your gut, go with the one that feels right. So some things I do want to point out about the University of Iowa is that we are part of the AAU, the Association of American Universities. You may or may not have heard that before, but that's another way to narrow down the scope of over 4,000 schools in the US. Maybe you want to look at this group of 62 elite schools. They are privates and publics. Half are the private schools like Harvard and Yale, the public Ivies you've heard of, and the other are the public universities, and the University of Iowa is one of those 32. These are tier 1 research institutions, very well funded by the federal government to have all of those top facilities that Akash mentioned. They are very much world leaders solving world problems. So they're cutting edge facilities, matching research dollars, and they offer undergraduate research experience. So again, that may be just one of the ways you help to narrow the scope. And we never want to overlook the fact that we are a UNESCO City of Literature. Creative writing is quite famous at the University of Iowa. So let's move on. Let's see.
I'm not sure I understand.
So where is the University of Iowa? We're in the heartland of the United States. Iowa City is just 3 to 5 hours away from larger cities around us. That radius, Minneapolis, Chicago, Omaha, Kansas City, St. Louis. Those are actually very strong destinations for internships and job shadows. So not only is it a safe city, 70,000 people, it's a charming city. Go to the big cities for fun, come back to your safe small city to concentrate on your studies, but be connected to those places later for your employment. Another aerial view of the campus. We call it town and gown. You can see on the right, the campus buildings. If you walk across the street, you're in downtown Iowa City. So it's very safe. It's walkable, bikeable, very easy to get around. Everything's within about 15 minutes walking of your residence hall. The downtown's filled with coffee shops, pharmacies, restaurants, boutiques. We even close off those roads sometimes for the homecoming parades and food festivals and music festivals, art festivals. So we're known as the #1 college town in the United States. So you can start to see why. It's small, it's safe, it's charming, and it feels like a bigger place when you're there. To the far right, it's hard to see, it says World Research there. That's pointing to our major University of Iowa hospitals and clinics. That side of campus is home to the College of Medicine, Pharmacy, Nursing, Public Health, and the Law College. So again, everything is really well connected. So we do offer over 200 areas of study. Most students enter in the College of Business, Engineering, or Liberal Arts. We're quite strong in the sciences, STEM fields. We're computer science, data science, and health and human physiology. So with that hospital connected to campus, many students do want to study in a medical field with us. As you can see, we have a small student to faculty ratio. So it is very true. You can connect with your professors. You are not just a number at Iowa. Akash mentioned a number of ways that he's connected very easily with his professors in his classroom. You may want to stay with us for a graduate education. We have a number of programs, over 30, where you can get a bachelor's and master's in 5 years. So consider staying with us for your graduate education as well. This slide shows the one major research facility in our research park, the National Advanced Driving Simulator. It's one of just 3 in the world: Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, and the University of Iowa. This is a major research on the driverless car right now, human interaction with road conditions. It's just one of the many, many high-quality Tier 1 research examples that we like to show. And again, undergraduates get involved in research that other schools often reserve only for graduate students. So take a look at the opportunities that you have there. And today's presentation is all about getting involved. Akash mentioned 550 student organizations. We're up to 600. Other students have created new groups. Very easy to join these. They range from politics to sports to events planning, environmental studies, you name it. We do offer plentiful jobs on campus, over 7,000 jobs. They're easy to find on Handshake, managed by our Career Center. Meet with our Career Center from day one, or week one at least. That office will help you build a really strong resume with global experiences, hands-on, some volunteer work. Have a really strong resume before you go to one of our 5 large job fairs that we hold every year. We don't just send students out, we bring companies to campus to interview our graduates. So that work experience is nice for a little spending money, but it's great for building your resume. So let us help you do that, build that resume. We do have one of the best recreation centers in the United States, fabulous facilities again. There's a rock climbing wall, Olympic-sized pool, hundreds of running machines and weights, and a smoothie shop as you leave the door. It's right across from the main library, very accessible. It's included with your student activity fee. So just swipe and you're in. There's no extra payment every time you want to go to the gym. You're looking at our Kinnick Stadium. We love our sports at Iowa. We're part of the Big Ten Athletic Conference, 24 varsity sports. 70,000 fans pack that stadium on a Saturday. I don't know all the rules of football, but it's great to be a Hawkeye fan. You'll fall in love with that school spirit on campus. We have 10 residence halls, roommate matching service. That's something that you'll do shortly after you're admitted to the University of Iowa. Most students, 98%, live in the dorms their first year, sometimes their second year. And then it's very typical that students meet their closest group of friends and start renting apartments and homes connected to campus. But fabulous start for students, fabulous food service. We even have our own chefs for special diets. So, and then Akash mentioned the living learning communities that you can be part of, a business floor, environmental students, engineers. Students are international, they just want to meet other students. So there's really a lot of personalization that goes into where you live, where you're going to eat, and what you're going to study. This screen may be one of the most important for you, 95% overall job placement within 6 months. Again, our career services, if you work with them, if you're doing your part and exposing yourself and trying new things and building that resume, this is a very typical outcome of a University of Iowa Hawkeye. So how do you get into the University of Iowa? We need above average grades. That's B's or higher, and whatever the curriculum is, we're looking for about a 3.0 on the US 4.0 grading scale. Minimum TOEFL, as you can see, is an 80. IELTS 6.5, and ACT, SAT are not required for admission. They're only required for scholarship consideration or direct admission to business or engineering or honors. So we say take the test. It can't hurt you for admission, but it might very much help you with one of our scholarships. The scholarships do range, as you can see, $500 to $10,000 per year. So a strong student, grades and SAT combination can earn $40,000 toward their education at Iowa. You don't have to be the top student. You don't have to have the top SAT, but you need a strong combination to be considered for those. And I'll just leave this screen now with my contact information. We'd love to hear from you. I'm on WhatsApp. We have WeChat. Engage with us. If you want us to connect you with one of our student ambassadors at any time, we can do that. If you want to speak directly with the department or the faculty, we can help you arrange those things. I really do hope to visit your schools again in the future. Right now, all this Zoom is the best we can do, but I thank you for engaging with the University of Iowa today. So let's please join. I'll stop sharing. And we'll have Akash back. And now we would love to take your questions. We'll take them live and ask away.
Yes, I'll just come back online for one quick minute. There are questions in the Q&A section, so kindly refer to them. Thank you, guys.
Okay, should I go, Becky? And then I can give it a first shot to answer the questions and you can add on, or would you like to do vice versa?
You go right ahead.
Or we can do vice versa. So I'll do it for the first question. You can do it for the second. Okay?
All right.
Cool. The first question, oh, this is the difficult one. No, I'm kidding. Can you please share the career and internship opportunities available for undergraduates at the University of Iowa? So I'm going to give it my shot and then Becky can also go.
Okay.
At the University of Iowa, as Becky mentioned, we have our career center. Right from the first week, you can go and start your resume. You can do mock interviews. You can be involved with that. And the career center can also connect you with some companies. But I'll also tell you one secret. Your professors are not just teachers. They are professionals in their own fields. So if you're interested in something, always ask your professor. I remember in my second year of college, I was talking to one of my professors, Dave Gould, in his office, and I was talking about how I want to work with a company that is doing some environmental innovations. And he immediately was like, I know one, which is 30 minutes away. And he connected me with the CEO, and I had a conversation with him, and I kind of did an internship with the company. And I got to do some projects with them, and they were also asking me if I would like to, work like 20 hours a week, and I couldn't because I had other jobs. But your professors are also really good resources to help you get these industry connections along with the career center. Becky?
Excellent. I do know that our Tippy College of Business places students, as I said, where we are is very important. So we have internships at the Chicago Board of Trade, for example, Wall Street, PwC, and Fortune 500 companies, very typical of our business students especially. Engineering has cooperative programs where you'll be able to work with a firm locally and through a formal co-op program. So again, career services is really key. Career services and your professors can help you gain those.
Cool. How is life in the Midwest compared to the East or West Coast? I'll give it my very amateur attempt because I only lived in the US for 4 years. I lived in Iowa City for most of it, and then I lived in Seattle for some of the breaks because my Masi lives there, and then I lived in DC after I graduated because I was working there. I loved it everywhere, but I really loved the Midwest a lot more because it felt more like home. I think, like in India also we have a culture of, knowing your neighbors, connecting, and, when you run into people, you talk to them and build conversation. And when I went to Iowa for the first time, I didn't realize that, oh, I'm not in India, because of course, it was different people, but at the same time, it felt the same because it is a very community-centered place. That's what I would add.
Iowans are known to be very welcoming, warm, outgoing, but also to contrast, there's a fun way to think of this. If you picture the US map, and we say, put your hand over the middle, over Iowa. You cover up Iowa. You have East Coast and West Coast left. And we say, what do you see? And we say, expensive. East and West Coast, expensive. That's what's left. Much more bang for your buck living and studying in the Midwest. Smaller cities are less expensive. Your spending money goes farther for the extra things that you want to do. We have 4 seasons, so you can try different things at every season. And it's not always cold, believe it or not. It's really not. We have 4 distinct seasons, and it gets quite hot in the summer, beautiful fall, leaves turn orange, red, camping, a lot of outdoor activity for Iowans.
Mm-hmm. Okay, would it be possible to share a list of majors and minors that have a combination of bachelor's, master's degree programs? Becky, I'm going to let you take this one.
Where I don't see that question. Oh, yes. Let's see. Would you contact me directly? I'll put my type answer. We have over 32. They're undergrad to grad programs. And I will put and then I can send that to you.
Should I go to the next one?
Yep.
Okay. So the next one is, do you require, from Arno, do you require international freshmen to live on campus on the first year, and how does housing and meal plan work? So as Becky is nodding her head, no, it's not required to live on campus. You can live off campus as well. Although it is, as an international student who lived at the university, I would encourage you to live on campus at least your first year, because you know, there's a lot of getting adjusted to. You know, firstly, it is just like a new phase of life. You've finished your 12th standard until when everyone is telling you what to do, and you know, all the roads are laid for you. Whereas in college, you have to build some of those roads yourself, and you also need to adjust to a new country, right? So you need a quick and easy way of connecting with people and making friends that you get in residence halls. There's a lot of events and programming, as I mentioned, and also your resident assistant is a good resource, because their whole job is to make sure you're transitioning well to campus. And I'm not saying that academically, but along with that also like socially, and you know, they're there to help you connect with people on those lines. So I would recommend living on campus. The next question is, as I am entering the 12th grade, would admissions be impacted next year because of COVID? And Becky, can you answer that one?
Yes, we will still be admitting every qualified student, just the same as we have now. We don't reach a cap and suddenly we're too full. We do have students who are starting online with us this fall, and that will hopefully physically be coming in January, but we will keep admitting just as we always have been. If you're qualified, we want you at Iowa, we will admit you, and we will find space for you.
What are minimum GPA requirements for admission and minimum SAT scores for scholarships? Becky.
Yep. For admission, we need a 3.0 GPA. That's B's or higher. IB scores, we're looking for an average of 5s. We want to see 5, 6, and 7 marks on that. There's no minimum score on the SAT, but I can tell you at about a 1200 and up level is competitive. So you don't have to have the highest score to still earn scholarship. Many students, I would say, I actually know every student from India got a scholarship this year. They're fabulous. They weren't top of their class, but they were strong, and we recognize that. So every Indian student, I believe, had 2,500, and many had the 10,000 level.
Cool. I think I forgot, there was in the question about living on campus, there was also a question about housing and meal plans. So Becky, can you help with that one, please?
Yes, the very first thing students do after they're admitted is apply for housing. There are deadlines to apply to get a room. There are deadlines to apply for roommate matching service. You can live alone, 2 people, 3. Some are shared environments with a shared kitchen. Others have no kitchen, and then you just go down the hall to eat at one of the dining facilities. There are contracts that you sign, and you have a certain number of days to, if you change your mind, but they're really, really helpful. They tell me it's kind of like the dating app where you can get really matched really well and avoid some of those first year troubles where if you have a random assignment. So, and then food service, we have 3 major dining halls, 15 around campus, some smaller marketplaces. Akash, you can attest to the food. It's quite healthy. You have, I don't know, 15 to 20 choices a day. One of the dining halls looks out along the Iowa River. They're beautiful facilities as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in terms of the food, people say when you go to college, you put on weight, and I had the ulta effect or the opposite effect. That was the first time I really enjoyed salads, and I would have salads for every meal, and I was eating so healthy. And of course, now that I'm back home, I'm eating all sorts of junk. No, it's really good. I love it too. Yeah, you really have a lot of variety. So if you feel like pizza, there's going to be pizza. If you feel like salads and fruits, you got that.
A lot of veg options. Indian students love veg options, halal food, special diets can be catered to as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. The next question is, how would the current announcement by U.S. immigrations affect new students for fall 2021?
Well, they're having impacts on students for fall 2020. There's nothing saying about 2021. We hope all of this shakes out after our political election, but right now we are planning so that students who have accepted our admission can enroll with us online if they physically cannot get here. We've had conversations and webinars about that already. Students are going to try to come in then in January and continue their studies. It's great that students don't have to stop out. They don't have to take a forced gap semester or year. We are planning for them. They will still be engaged in the classroom with other students. So we hope students are taking advantage of that right now, but there are definitely questions up in the air. When we go to online fully in Thanksgiving, do students have to suddenly return home? There are unanswered questions right now for sure, but for 2021, thank goodness you're considering 21 because much of this will be resolved by then.
Yeah. Would it be possible to share AP requirements, and also would low IB scores be compensated with a high ACT score for admission and scholarships?
I would say the answer is yes. We do look rather holistically. We look at the IB marks, we still want to see that around a 30 total score, which is quite doable for most IB students. But yet, if we see that the student had lower marks in their earlier years, but then their 11th and 12th grade, they had an incline, suddenly they're paying attention, they're studying, they're getting more serious, then we also look at that. So it's quite a holistic review, in fact. And the advantage to AP and IB is that students come in with transfer credits. You have courses already done, which allows you to either get into the upper level classes faster, maybe you graduate sooner with 3 years or 3.5 years, maybe you do a double major, maybe you do a study abroad. Coming in with AP and IB credit has many advantages in those ways.
Okay. Then what would be the student faculty ratio? What access would I have to professors for academic support? Okay, student faculty ratio is 1:16. That is a statistic. But in terms of access to professors, you have access to professors throughout your time in college and even after. I would say that when you're in a class with a professor, they themselves will invite you for office hours, they'll invite you for a coffee, they'll invite you, and you're welcome to just go and knock on their door and talk to them. But even when you're not in a class with a professor, you're welcome to just email them or stop by their office and introduce yourself. It's very easy. It is actually pretty cool. I feel like I'm one of the Avengers. I can just go and talk to anyone. That's how it feels at Iowa. And actually, when I was deciding what I wanted to study and changing my major, I actually got an opportunity to talk to I think 40 different professors from different departments, and I just cold emailed them. They didn't know me. And, they had a conversation with me, gave me advice. And then after that, also, they kept sending me opportunities. So professors are very accessible. And yeah, you just, as I said, help will always be given at Hogwarts to those who ask for it. Okay. I have met with the Iowa State University in February 2011 standard, given both universities are public. What are the differences with the university? Becky?
Yeah, I can take that. There are three wonderful universities in the state of Iowa: Iowa State University, University of Northern Iowa, and the University of Iowa. Unfortunately, we're closely named with Iowa State, but Iowa State is very good. It has some programs we do not, such as fashion, agriculture business. Many students study ag business there, and nutrition. And so fashion design, nutrition, ag business, they're very well known for. They have, it's a very similar college town vibe, but yet very different in that Iowa City is more of the higher level, not higher level, but international business focused. Our business programs are very different, and our engineering programs are different. Iowa's intentionally smaller engineering program. Students are admitted to engineering, they work in teams, they don't compete to get in. Iowa State has more of a funnel where they admit many students who have to compete to get in. So we're very different in how our engineering programs are set up. Again, it's a fine school, but those are some of the differences. It has Ames, we're in Iowa City. Again, I think ag business, fashion, and nutrition are their key programs at Iowa State. Come to the University of Iowa for medical studies. We have that connecting hospital strength, and we're a part of that AAU.
Okay. Is OPT going to be for 1 year, even if we complete a semester or a year of our undergraduate program online? And is OPT longer for STEM majors?
That has to be answered by our immigration office, ISSS. I'm sorry, that's not an admissions question, but I can connect you. Again, here's my email, and I can connect you for answers to that.
And in terms of, is OPT longer for STEM? I think it is. The job I did in DC was on my OPT, and it was pretty cool. Just get it on time, and then you're good. Okay, can you please share about campus safety? Also, what precautions are being taken for student safety in classrooms, housing, and meals given the current time of COVID? Becky?
Sure. Well, campus safety, we have many things built in. Night ride, if students ever are out alone and they want to get home, there's a free service night ride. There's another shout, students assisting other students. There's blue lights there. Yeah, it's a very safe, walkable, bikeable campus in that way. As far as safety during COVID, I should refer you to a webinar ISSS just held. The campus will have, everyone will be provided with personal protective equipment. The mask will be required while you're on campus. There's social distancing. So the large lectures will be the online component. Small discussion groups can only happen in classes of 50 or fewer. So many safety measures have been accounted for. You can find that as well on our ISSS site, a clear plan for COVID planning in the classroom. Check uiowa.edu, big and bold COVID planning. All of those details of how classes will be handled are well laid out there.
Okay, last question. I may plan to take a gap year because of the coronavirus environment. Would a gap year affect my admission and scholarships? Also, should I mention the reason for the gap year in my essay?
Well, as we said, students can, if you're admitted to this fall at the University of Iowa and you do not want to study online, you may session change and start in January and keep your scholarship. If students session change to next August, a full year, then we have to not have the scholarship and reconsider you when we get allocations for scholarships for 2021. So students who have a scholarship this fall, who want to take a 1 semester gap will keep their scholarships in January. That's still part of this academic year. But if you go a full year out, then they have to be reconsidered.
Okay. Cool. Last one again. How? No, I'm kidding. Hi, Kriti. How? No. Hello, Akash. Thank you for sharing your feedback. How did the University of Iowa help with finding the right major and classes, and also with your job search? Wow, I can talk about that for 4 hours. But before, or actually, I'll go into it now. Finding the right major. Okay. I went to the University of Iowa initially with the intention of studying environmental science, as I shared, and I love my classes. I got to be involved with like really cool research that was funded with like all sorts of international grants right in my first semester. And as I shared, I decided that I wanted to zoom out a little, and I wanted to study kind of a combination of science, business, and arts, and also leadership and how we can work together to address issues. And when I spoke to my advisor, she showed me 4 different degrees. She's like, you can choose any one of them. And I was like, I want to do this part of this one, this part of this one, this part of this one, and this part of this one. And she just was like, what? But she actually connected me with someone else from the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And yeah, like, and I got to know that at the University of Iowa, there is an option to design your own degree too, if your educational program is not providing what you wanted to. And for me, as I shared in the beginning, like I was sacrificing a lot of things to go to the university, and my thing was to make it worth it for me, and to make sure that it helps me best prepare for the work I want to do in the world. And I didn't know what that work was, but I knew the direction. So yeah, when I started this quest of designing my degree, I actually got to, as I said, connect with 40-ish professors. So I spoke to professors from psychology, sociology, biology, chemistry, law, business, so like management, marketing, environmental science. And I really got to connect with a lot of faculty, and the faculty helped. And they gave me a lot of good feedback. They recommended some classes I should take. They also, I think, also staff members helped. So, my advisor helped. I spoke to my friends in admissions. I spoke to my student organization mentors. I spoke to local business owners and asked them, do you think this makes sense? And, like a lot of people from the university community, I spoke to some alumni also, I think, yeah, and a lot of really gave me good advice. I was also considering doing a degree in management, and one of my professors was like, you're already doing such a cool thing. You don't need another degree. Just incorporate 1 or 2 of those classes. And I was like, oh, wow. So I would say that, yeah, everyone at the university, for me, was really there to help me find the right degree, or I would even say create the right degree and the right classes, make those recommendations. I just had to ask. I just had to keep asking. And I think that is the most important lesson I have learned. And I think one thing I did well going into college, that I was not hesitant, and I am always on a quest of self-improvement, and I love getting people's inputs, and that's what really helped me let other people help me, if that makes sense. And in terms of the job search, also the career center helped with my CV and resume, with interview prep. But also, I would say actually, the way I got my first job after college was because over one of the summers, I had convinced 2 of my friends to do a road trip to Washington, D.C. For a conference on sustainable purchasing. And we didn't have the money to fly, and I didn't know how to drive. I don't have a driver's license. And I had to convince 2 of my friends to go with me. And I did. And I convinced the conference organizers to give us free housing. They did. So we attended the conference, asked questions, volunteered. They let us attend for free. And then when I came back to campus, what happened is I thought it was really cool. So I kept connecting different businesses to them. And they actually reached out to the director of sustainability of our university and told her that before he's about to graduate, let us know. And, so they reached out to me before I graduated and they were like, would you like to work for us? And I was like, sure. So a lot of these opportunities and networks you're going to get through classes. And I'm telling you, even now, a lot of those things work. So in one of my business classes, we had Kyle Zimmers, who's the executive director of the First Book Foundation. And, she does a lot of stuff around education. She came and shared her story and I became really good friends with her. And we kept messaging each other on LinkedIn. Then 5 or 3 years after that, when I was applying for jobs after my master's, I realized that the organization that I desperately want to work for, Ashoka, Kyle is a board member of that organization. And, she sent a little recommendation for me as well. And, all of this just came together because the university, as Becky said, they bring in people, they bring in the alumni, they bring in experts from different fields, whether it's someone from NASA or whether it's someone from, in one of my professors, the year before I joined the university, Tony Shea, the CEO of Zappos, had stopped by, and it is just like so cool because the professors really want you to, and the university really wants you to get those real life connections, work on real life projects, and go out into the world. Okay, sorry for the long answer, but I thought this is where you on the call could be helpful. Okay, I think we have a couple more questions. Can some information be shared about your current Indian students at the university? Becky, do you know?
Which question are you on?
Can some information be shared about your current Indian students? What are the popular?
Oh, yes. I did type that one. We actually have between 300 and 400 Indian students on campus. Many are at the graduate level, but we're gaining in undergraduates. You may have mentioned we have an Indian Alliance group on campus. They're very active. We celebrate Diwali, celebration of lights. And we have Indian faculty, of course. So yes, there's very much a strong presence. It's in our top 4 countries represented on campus. Yeah. And do you want to talk about that Indian Alliance? Did you go to that?
I wasn't involved with it a lot, okay, but I did go to some of the events, and okay, there is a robust South Asian community there, and I think Indian Student Alliance is one of the 6 or 7, 8 biggest organizations on campus actually, and they put on events of really big scale. So their events are usually attended by like a few hundred people, or sometimes 600 people. So it is a very big organization. I wasn't involved with it, but it's very cool.
It would be very easy for me to connect any interested student with a student from India. We have a number of students who are back home now, planning to come back. Just let me know if you want to connect and I can connect you.
Yeah. Then what are the I-20 requirements? And I would like to learn a breakdown of costs such as tuition, on-campus accommodation, meal plans. Do we submit I-20 documents before admission or after?
Okay, the total cost, it's right on our website, but I can tell you the total cost, tuition, books, health insurance, living expenses, everything is about $45,000 US per year before scholarships. So it's not the least expensive, it's by far not the most expensive, it's somewhere in the middle. Our peer schools are $60,000, $70,000. We're actually considered a best buy by the FISC guide for like 16 years in a row. So about $45,000 US per year minus scholarship. And that includes, again, your tuition, your books. There are no hidden fees. Those are the costs, and we lay that all out for you on our cost website. And there was another part to that question. Where did it go? Moved on me.
Oops. Sorry, I might have moved. Do we submit I-20 documents before?
Right. No, you don't have to send your finances up front. You can wait until after you're admitted, and then you'll be providing your financial verification, how you intend to pay for your studies, to our ISSS office, who will in turn send your I-20 document. So not up front, wait to see if you're admitted, see what your scholarship level is, and then provide the necessary funding verification.
Mhm. Okay, so Kriti is sharing that I'm a Gujarati student from Ahmedabad who's a pure vegetarian. You shared about veg food. What are the veg food options within campus and customary dietary plans you've spoken about? So actually, the campus not only has veg food in like its cafeterias and dining halls, but it also has vegan food. It also has gluten-free food, and just in the main dining areas, right? We also have a lot of cafes and a lot of stores on campus, and that also you will find a lot of variety. And I think like in and around campus, you'll definitely find that. Whenever I wanted to eat, I never had a problem finding vegetarian food.
And the custom dietary plans are available. If you have a food allergy, make that known. Chefs prepare specific meals that you can have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I would like to either double major or minor, accounting and music. How would this impact the duration of degree and my cost? Can I try and respond to this, Becky, and in terms of the
Sure.
duration? Uh, in terms of the duration, I don't know how much that specifically will cost, but I think it's doable in 4 years or even 3. At the university, my degree was kind of the way of 2 degrees because I just took too many classes when I designed it, and then also I also was pursuing 3 certificates: one in sustainability, one in nonprofit management, and one in entrepreneurship. And I could have still, if I would have dropped off the certificates, I could have finished my education in 3 years. So I think you should still be able to finish it within 3 to 4 years. It's really about your personal preference. And yeah, I'm going to let Becky also answer it from her perspective.
No, all good. You work with your academic advisor. Let that advisor know your interests early on, because sometimes classes can count for both degrees that are fulfill your general education requirements. And it's very easy, honestly, to build a minor at least with your major, but have that conversation with your academic advisor and they'll help you build the appropriate schedule. Still finishing in 4 years is entirely possible and common.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. I see that there are no more. No more. Akash, was the degree practical oriented or theoretical? Do professors help in job guidance? Well, there's definitely theory in college, but it also has practical elements. So one of the class, actually for most of the classes that I took after my first or second year, it always had a practical element, whether it was in the business school, whether it was in the engineering school. So like when I took my social media marketing class, we basically learned about it, but we were also consulting a local NGO to build their strategy. And when I took a marketing and sustainability class, we were trying to help an organization with marketing, with sustainability. When I took my sustainable systems class, it was about making a sustainable system of the city or something like that. I think it was about the food system of the city. When I took a fieldwork social innovation class, that involved that throughout the semester, there was no theory at all. It was just that every week you meet with the professor and the fellow students and you dream a project and you make it happen. And so I think in that class, one of the projects I had taken up was that our university bookstore has, like had like really cool plastic bags with the university branding, and the project I had taken up was to replace them with cloth bags. So that was because I took that up through a class. Yeah, so I think there is a mix of really healthy mix of theory and practice. Once again, as I said, it's up to you to seek what you want. So if you're learning something in class and if you think you're not getting to apply it, then ask for it. Ask the professor, ask a student organization, because people will be thrilled to connect you. In fact, I just remember yesterday I had a conversation with someone who was a student from Italy that we had done a Zoom call with when I was in my dynamics of negotiations class. and we had to do a mock negotiation with them. And we've stayed in touch after that, and we've never met. And now she is giving me guidance on how to work out because I'm just eating and eating and eating in the lockdown. So it's very practical.
That's one thing when students ask me, so what does the University of Iowa do better than anybody else? And my answer is often networking. I think we connect students so well in so many ways at so many levels that allows you to expand the way you've introduced your experience, Akash. But it carries through, it carries on, it carries forward. So networking is very, very strong.
Yeah. And Aryan, I don't know if I think I answered the question about professors helping in job guidance before, but the short answer is yes. They'll help you crazily. You just need to ask. You need to make sure you're prepared. You need to make sure you show up and really communicate your interest in something. And they will, like my professors have connected me with so many people from the industry that I can't even count it. Okay. Trish is asking, how friendly and easy was it for you to students who are from the US and international students? It was weird initially, of course, but on my first day, but I knew that like I hadn't left the house to not make friends or to just sit in my room. I was very clear with myself, and no matter how uncomfortable it was, I just had a notion of I don't care. I'm gonna go talk. I'm gonna go connect, and yeah, like I think at the end of the day, people are people. You know, like there are differences about where we are coming from, or you know, what our first language or interests or things like that. But when you connect, people are people, and I'm telling you, like I have family there now, without family from people from all around the world, right? Not just from India or not just from the US, and it's a very beautiful feeling. So it was not easy. It was not easy. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of emotional energy. A lot of us, like when you go to campus, like my first instinct was that no, let me take 1 or 2 semesters to just get acquainted to the city, and then I can make friends. But I was just like, no, if I want to really make the most out of it, I need to connect with people. And when you go to a campus, people will tell you that keep your door open for other people to say hi. I will say keep your door open, but invite other people in, or go knock on people's doors and go inside and be like, hey, what's up? And get to know people. And that's how I'm telling you, like, I have missed my family when I was there, of course, but I've never felt homesick. And that is because I met beautiful people there. And I think it was very, very beautiful to connect and make those friends. It's just that just go, and also like I think one thing that worked for me was I wasn't necessarily, I didn't have a criteria. I want to only make friends from this on this basis. Like I didn't have a criteria that I only want to connect with Indian students, or I only want to connect with international students, or I only want to connect with students in a student org. It was always like whatever avenue, you know, like so if in class I met someone, I spoke to them and I built a friendship there. If I joined, I also tried to build connections based on interests. So I was interested in sustainability. So before my first semester ended, I was involved in every sustainability organization on campus, and I built friends who shared similar interests and passions as me. That is just like next level, right? So I had friends I could just go eat Indian food with. I had friends I could just go get coffee with. I had friends I could talk about changing the world with. I had friends I could just sit around, goof up, and watch movies with. Whatever. Uh, just be open and trust you know how to connect, because we all do. We are all human beings, and yeah, that's what worked for me.
I'll just add, there are organized activities. The ISSS arranges a lot of activities that bring students together. You'll have a small group, part of orientation. You meet friends right away in that. There's a large On Iowa program where, again, you meet thousands of students in a single day. You'll be around thousands of students that day, and then you'll make your small circle of friends. And then your RA and your housing, they arrange activities for your floor. So there are also built-in ways. You're not just left to try to find your own friends. There are built-in ways as well.
Very true, very true. And I was actually a resident assistant for 2 years on campus, and that was my entire job to organize events and connect with people. So irrespective of anything, you have one friend that's your resident assistant, and they are there to help you get involved in projects, but also to connect and meet with people and create opportunities for you to meet with people. Cool. Could you share what you did for your housing and meal plans for your 4-year degree? So yeah, in my first year, I lived on campus. I had planned to live on campus my first year, and then I wanted to move out. But what happened is I had a medical procedure that I went through in my first year, because of which the doctors were like, maybe it's good if you stay on campus. So I lived on campus my first 2 years, and then I got hired as a resident assistant, which meant that I lived on campus for the other 2 years too. I did live off campus in the summers and after I graduated, but overall, yeah, I lived on campus. And meals, yes, I loved going to the dining halls. I'm a big foodie, and you have more than you need you have more meal plans than you need, so you can keep going there whenever you want and eat whatever you want. And I think also the cafes on campus were fabulous. I think Becky mentioned the gym where there's the smoothies. I used to only go there for the smoothies. They're so good. So yeah, when it came to food, I had jalsa. Okay. Then Akash, what campus activities did you undertake to make the most of the experiences? Wow, you all really want to stay here all night with me. You're asking me such huge questions.
He was so involved. He's one of our most involved students. So I'm not sure where he's going to start, but
yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But I think I've mentioned some. I'll try and mention the others. So one of the very big things at the university, or at the universities in the US, is homecoming. It is basically a week full of events where students, staff, faculty, alumni, and the community can come together to celebrate being a part of the community. So it's like usually 20 to 30,000 people that come together for different events. Over different events, and I got to be the parade director of it for one of the years, and then I was the executive director of it for the other years. And it was crazy because we spent 10 months organizing like 1 week of events, and it was very high stakes. Also learned a lot, but also made some really cool friends, and really it was so cool. Like I got to shut down the city for one day. Like think about it, and I got to ride around the golf cart. And I don't play golf, but I really love golf carts. Then I was involved with the student government. So I was also one of the students annoying the administration. Not annoying, but working with the administration on working the campus better. I have a motto of like celebrating what's awesome and helping. I think we all have a responsibility to celebrate what is awesome. And if something can be better, we all are responsible to help make it better. So I was also a part of the student government, through which I think I worked on, 30 or more projects over 2 years to improve our campus, which included one of the things that was a part of it was to improve the international student experience and add campus tours for international students. Then we advocated with the university administration to add a new position to support international student engagement on campus. Then and I worked at teams, right? I didn't do any of this. I also had different types of jobs. So one of my jobs was disposing biohazardous waste in the chemistry department, and then preparing chemicals for classes. It was super cool. I felt like Tony Stark and the Hulk. Then I was involved with research. I got paid for that. I was also a front desk operator for 2 years. Which was also a very new experience, because since the time I've been small, I'm like a guy who's like, always wanting to go out and do stuff. But it was very weird for me to just sit in front of a desk. I think that I was just preparing for the lockdown. I did that. I also got to be a part of, like how to be a teaching assistant for a course called the Green Room, where we invited different people from different fields to come and share a story. So, CEOs, social justice activists, social entrepreneurs, whoever that is. And I actually am still involved with it. I've been organizing that in India. In fact, this Thursday we have our next green room. So, like there is just so much you can get involved with. And I really think your experience, again, as I say multiple times, is going to be what you make it. I really can't list all the things I was involved with. So sorry. Oh, another thing, I was a tour guide on campus, and that was one of my favorite things too. Going around campus and walking people. Okay, I can literally keep going, so I'm going to stop here. What jobs and internships did I take during and after? So I told you about the during. After I got to work with the Sustainable Purchasing Leadership Council in Washington D.C. That like they had reached out to the university sustainability director. I'm talking about them, and I had a really good time. And then actually, instead of continuing looking, I decided to go for a master's. Actually, like how we are told that you're going to get your advice from your professors and your advisors. I think that's a hoax. You do get some really awesome support from them, but everyone around is a network, and everyone's there to help. The way I learned about the master's program I wanted to do was that I was in the student union, and I think I knew almost everyone there because I was involved in so many things. But I didn't know a few people, right? So I once realized in as my final year started, I was just walking in the hallway, and I ran into this wonderful person called Nikki Hudis. She's a part of the dean of students office, and she asked me what am I interested in, and I told her sustainability and leadership development and la 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 la. And that was the first time we spoke. It was really nice to connect. And before I left, she told me, you know what, you need to check out this master's program in Sweden. One of my really good friends is doing that. And I was just like, no, 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 I don't want to do masters. I'm just finishing a bachelor's somehow. And she was like, no, you check it out. I think you will really like it. And then I went and I checked it out, and I was just like, wow. I had designed my degree, but this master's program would really help me organize it and make sense of it and understand how I could use the knowledge that I've gained and experiences I've gained. And I was inclined to going for the master's. I didn't decide right away, but I ended up going there. So after working in Washington, D.C., I moved to Sweden, did my master's. I still kept working for that company, and I actually got to go to the UN to represent them last year, and it was pretty cool. I got to speak. I got to go off track while speaking and talk about climate change. Uh, so a lot of opportunities did stem from the university and the professors. Yeah. Akash, Q queries. Do part-time jobs like working in a library or teaching assistantships help cover living expenses, or should we budget for them? How cold is it? And is it easy to? Okay, great, great, great. Part-time jobs will help you for your expenses there. So like I didn't have to, other than my tuition, I didn't have to take loans for anything. They don't always cover for your housing expenses, but they'll cover for your like food expenses, your cell phone expenses, your shopping expenses, movies, restaurants. But I think, yeah, the job I had as a resident assistant, that did pay for my housing and dining, and plus it gave me a stipend. So if you get, there are opportunities through which your living expenses could also be covered. I would recommend budget for them, and then once you go to campus, as you get the jobs, just don't need that budget. How cold does it get in Iowa City? Oh wow, it gets colder than Antarctica, and I'm telling you, nothing's a challenge after that. But I think it is easy to adjust. I would say if you get the right winter gear, I think you're going to be well taken care of. It's not that difficult. In fact, one of the things that I really started loving was the winter, and I really miss that. I really miss just sitting outside when it's cold and sitting by the beautiful river we have. So I used to do that in the winters. It was very cold, but it was super cool to get a coffee and just sit by the river. So yeah, that's my response. Also, when it gets cold, you also have the campus bus, so you don't always have to walk.
Great. I can see the questions. Attendees, we're going to wait for another quick minute. Thank you for all the questions. Akash, Becky, thank you. I'll be coming online. We'll just run a quick poll in the meantime because I'm sure the panelists have to go for other engagements and we must be respectful of their time. So please vote for this. I'm just going to wait for 30 more seconds to see if there are any last minute questions and then of course come back for the day to say goodbye. I'm muting myself. Thank you. So 5 more seconds, attendees. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And I'm going to share the results. Akash, Becky, if you could kindly confirm this is being seen on your screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Wonderful. We're happy that we could deliver such useful information.
Thank you. So I'm just going to wait.
LinkedIn or
Absolutely, Akash. Akash, it would be helpful if you could share your email address. Some students might always want to get in touch as well.
Yeah, I can share my email, but the quick way to reach me is LinkedIn. Because, so should I share like it here? Like
Yeah, I'm just going to come back. Am I able to be seen?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay. So I think there are no further questions. Anyways, I'll begin with the conclusion, and then if a question comes in, we'll of course answer it. So thank you to all the attendees who participated in the evening. We know it's late, so thank you so much for coming and joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you to all the students, parents, guidance counselors. Students, please be reminded, this will be shared with your high school counselors, parents. This will be shared with your guidance counselors in the school. So the recording will be or can also be available to other students who are interested to not only know about the topic, but also the University of Iowa. So thank you so much for making this session very productive. And a big thanks to the two esteemed panelists who have participated today, Ms. Becky Hansen and Mr. Akash Bhalirao. Thank you so much for joining in. Akash, it's always a pleasure. Becky, such an immense pleasure. Having said that, I think we're going to cap it for the day and we're going to conclude. But we're going to be in touch, and this recording will be shared on not only all our social media channels, but also with your schools. And of course, Becky and Akash with you as well. So thank you so much. And I, of course, wish you all a wonderful day. Please take care, stay safe, and be in touch. Thank you so much once again.
And thank you for allowing us to take time this evening to introduce you to the University of Iowa. Go Hawkeyes.
Yes, go Hawkeyes. So thank you so much. So bye, Becky, bye, Akash. And to the attendees, I'm going to wait online just for 2 more minutes, just so that you can get the email addresses down and the other information that they have shared. So thank you and wish you all a wonderful day. Thank you once again.